so these are all the books off my physical TBR that I read in July. Ugh, they don't fit in the frame. But here they are. It's a lot. I'm going to be talking about them, but I also read another, like a whole bunch of other books too. So this is the big pile off my physical TBR. Of course, they all just fell down. Excuse me. All right, so this is a lot. So I'm going to go through them as fast as I can and remember as much as I can. So let's see. First, we have Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder. And she's actually a local author to me, a local Connecticut author. And I actually saw her, and I also have Bourbon and Secrets here. I actually saw her in person in July. So I picked up some books and I got them signed, and I got some of the others personalized. I didn't get this one personalized because I had already bought it previous. So these are romantic suspense books, and they take place in Kentucky, and they're about three brothers who work at this bourbon distillery, and that's like their family's big claim to fame in this town, is that they make bourbon. And this one is about a girl named Lainey. This girl named Lainey, this woman named Lainey, and she ends up getting involved in something and having to go into a sort of witness protection, but not like officially witness protection program. And she ends up staying at this bourbon distillery in a guest house and meets, what's this one's name? Grant. And he's kind of a grumpy, and she's kind of a sunshine, but she also has some PTSD because of what happened to her. And he also has some PTSD because he lost a girlfriend recently. And it says basically, like, in this town, everyone thinks that the Fox brothers are cursed because anyone who marries them or dates them or falls in love with them, they end up dying. So, like, he's got this curse that he's grappling with in his mind too, you know, afraid to fall in love again. And they kind of both work through their trauma together, and it's so, so good. I would describe the spicy scale about the same as like an Elsie Silver book. But I absolutely ate this up. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. And then Bourbon and Secrets, which is the second in the series, follows another woman whose name is Faye. I'm so bad at names. Like, it's chronic. I really just need to write them down constantly, because if I write them down, it tends to make it better. Yes, so we have Faye and Lincoln, I think. Did I get that one right? Woo, Lincoln! And they are dual POV, if I didn't mention. So, Faye is a, she's like a private eye, but she's also a burlesque dancer. She kind of uses that to go undercover with, some like high rollers and like organized crime people. These books do kind of involve organized crime, especially in this one a little bit. So she ends up dancing at, a bar in Kentucky, in Fiasco, Kentucky, where the distillery is. And this is a single dad romance. And basically at the beginning of the book, these two meet in some like bad circumstances where she has like blood all over her, and she basically like blackmails him into not saying anything about it. And then when she comes back to town, he's like, don't come anywhere near my family. I don't want to be involved in your, I don't want to be involved in your drama, in your, I don't want the safety of my family to get compromised. So, and of course they don't stay away from each other, and they fall in love, and it is cute. I did like this one. I didn't like it as much as Bourbon and Lies, but I also read I read This During Summerween by David Sodergren, and I like this a lot. I also gave this one 5 stars. Oh, I forgot. I gave this one 4. So I didn't like it as much as Bourbon and Lies, but I still liked it. And of course, this is horror, and it's on a small island in Scotland, a small fishing village. And the horror, basically the mist, comes into town and brings this very scary looking creature. This elderly woman finds the creature, and it kind of goes from there. The big conflict of the story is companies trying to take over and buy all the houses on this island, and she's one of the last holdouts. and they want to build like a, sleazy development on it. So, and she's doesn't want that to happen, and then this creature comes and there's lots of blood and gore, but it's also like really, I don't know, just really emotional and devastating and very atmospheric, and I gave it 5 stars. Also during Summerine, I read Nestlings by Nat Cassidy. I think I did give this 4, maybe 3.5. Okay, so I thought this was well done. I thought it was scary, but there's a lot of triggers in it for me. There's a lot of talk of little kids, babies especially. So if like you're a new mom, it might not be for you because, something's happening to their baby. And I think I did okay with that because my kids are older now. But if I had read this when they were a lot younger, I think it would have been very difficult for me to get through without like spiking my anxiety. But there's also some talk of bed bugs in here. And it's not a huge part like of what's happening, but it's talked about, and that was kind of triggering for me. And then also like bugs in general, because what's happening, it's infectious or so. But I did like it. It is a vampire adjacent story, and I love Nat Cassidy, and of course his author's note at the end is amazing as always. So I did like it, and this is The Nestlings by Nat Cassidy, and I gave it 4 stars. I also read Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. And this was super cute. I gave it 4 stars. I think I might even have it in here. I might have read it last month. Oops. But I preferred Paladin's Grace, but it does take place in the same world. And it's this older, like 40s-ish, 50s-ish woman. And she lives with her uncle, and her uncle dies, and she is supposed to get the inheritance. But of course, his family doesn't want that to happen. So they're kind of like going after her, and they want her to marry so that they will get some of the money. They want her to marry like a cousin or something. I don't know the relationships. I forget. But she ends up finding this sword, and some of her, maybe it wasn't an uncle. Maybe it was just like I think it was a person that she helped take care of and was like kind of a companion to. And then he gave all the money to her instead of his family, and they want her to marry into the family so they still get the money. I think that's what it is. So Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher, the main character finds a sword and unsheaths it, and when she unsheaths it, a soldier comes out and basically has to be devoted to her and her protection, and sort of like a genie, but not with wishes, but just like he has to basically do what she says no matter what. So, of course, she doesn't want to marry this random dude. So they kind of like run away and go on a little adventure, and, typical T. Kingfisher humor and fun stuff and love story. And it's really cute. And this edition is so, so pretty. Doggy barking. Next one is Julie Chan is Dead. I read this because Gabby Reed's read it, and she said it was like a 5-star thriller. So I wanted to read it, and I ended up giving it 5 stars too. It is about these 2 twins. Could you take a chill pill, please? Excuse you. Stop. Oh, all right, I gotta go. All right, the dogs are outside, so this should be better. So Julie Chan is Dead is about 2 twins, and they are, I believe, Chinese. Yes, they are Chinese, and Chinese American or Chinese Canadian. The author's Canadian, but I think this takes place in the U.S. Honestly, I believe so, because I think the one of the twins lives in New York. So yes, takes place in the U.S. and it's about these 2 twins that were separated at birth as their parents passed away, and one goes to like this affluent white family, and the other one stays with her aunt. So like the class of both of them, like they're far separated in economic class. And the twin that went to the white family ends up becoming like this super influencer. And one of her videos, she ends up like finding her twin and telling her that she'll buy her a house and uses it for content and clout and all that. And then one day, and basically like cuts her off after that, doesn't want anything to do with her. And one day she calls her and says something like, I'm sorry, or it's a suspicious phone call and she's worried about her. So she goes to the apartment to find her and finds her dead. And this is all in the synopsis. Finds her dead, and they think that she's her twin. So she takes her identity. So it kind of like has Yellowface vibes for me at the beginning, but then it turned into something much weirder, and I don't want to give anything away, but like it goes in a direction that I wasn't expecting, and I thought it was so fun, and I gave it 5 stars. In July, I also read The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. This was a long time coming. Everyone has pretty much read this already. I thought it was super cute. I did give it 5 stars. It is about like a witch, and in this world, witches really don't like come together a lot because they want to protect their privacy. But she is actually she pretends to be a witch on the internet, even though she's a real witch, but she pretends on Instagram or some platform to be a witch, even though she's not. And someone basically identifies her as a real witch and wants her help in raising and training these 3 girls that were adopted. She goes and develops this relationship with these girls, and there's a love story in here, and there's some other side characters, and it is very cute and has just enough conflict to keep me interested. And yes, I thought it was very cute. I'm looking forward to reading the second one, which I picked up recently because it was just out. So I was like, oh, I better read this one finally. It's been on my shelves a while. Ooh. Another 5-star read for me is Davy Hates from the Magnolia Parks universe. And yes, it's by Jessa Hastings, and she's been acting up online, so that's nice, which is sad because like these books are just juicy, toxic fun about toxic relationships and people that need lots of therapy and can afford it and should get some, but seemingly don't, and don't take anybody's advice. And you know, the parents are in the mob and they shouldn't be together because if they're together, then people want to kill them even more. I don't know, but I liked it. I gave it 5 stars. It's too bad that Jessa Hastings is being special these days. Oh well, but I did like it. I gave it 5 stars. I do have the other books too, so I'll read them eventually. And I do think they're a good time. So that's about that. I also read One Golden Summer, and this is by Carly Fortune. And there's another book that's kind of a companion book from the other brother's perspective, the younger brother's perspective. It's Every Summer After, I think. But you can read one without the other, but this does contain spoilers for that book, like a big spoiler for that book. So I would not, if you're going to read the other one, I would read it and wait to read this one. This is the older brother. What is it? Charlie? Ooh, I remembered. Nice. Charlie and Alice. And Alice is going to the lake where she went as a child, and she's bringing her grandma, who is kind of like been sad and down in the dumps. You know, she hurt herself. She's getting older, and she seems kind of depressed. So she brings her to a lake that they spent one summer in as a child. And that she spent one summer in as a child. And then Alice meets Charlie. He helps her kind of live out her like teenage summer she never got to live out. And Charlie's kind of like holds himself back. And for some reason, we don't really know why he doesn't want, you know, she thinks it's just because he's like a player and, you know, is just a ladies' man and doesn't want anything serious. But he's holding himself back for other reasons, it seems, but we don't really know. And we find out. And I think I gave this 4 stars. I believe I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed it. It was a solid romance. I'm giving a lot of these high ratings. I don't remember having this many 4s and 5s, but apparently I did. Especially for my physical TBR, which is awesome because that means I'll be keeping these. Oh, well, the ones that I didn't like, I already on hold, so I have 3 that are from my physical TBR that I already unhauled, so I'm gonna have to insert pictures for. I also read The Bewitching by Sylvia Marita Garcia. She also wrote Mexican Gothic, which I loved. It got weird, and if you know anything about me, I like weird most of the time. Sometimes it's not the right weird for me, but usually if it's weird, I'm gonna like it. So this book is about this woman sort of in modern day for her, 1998, who is researching witches, and this horror writer that no one really ever paid attention to, this woman's horror writer. Her last name is Tremblay, because I remember that. But I don't remember her first name. But anyways, it's got 3 timelines in it. The main character from present day, who I don't remember her name. And then there is her grandma, and I believe what she's at in Mexico in that timeline, which is like the farthest away timeline. And then there is the timeline of the woman in Massachusetts who wrote the book that she's doing the research about. And it all comes together at the end. And I really liked it. I read it like right at the beginning of July during Summerween, and like I can't remember a ton about it, but I remember I did really enjoy this, and I gave it 4 stars. The last book that I still have from my physical TBR is Wrath by John Gwynne. This is the final book in the Faithful and the Fallen series, the culmination, so there's lots of battles. I thought it wrapped up nicely. I mean, some people died in it that I really didn't want to die, but that's what happens in fantasy novels, I guess. And there were some parts that were a little anticlimactic, and I was like, oh. But I did enjoy it. I think the series overall for me is a 4, and I gave this one a 4 as well. It's a big chunky boy, see. So yes, I read this one. I don't know how I read all this much. This is crazy. But I have lots more to talk about that I don't have the physical books for, which is insane. So let me get, all right, yes. So the other 3 books off my physical TBR I read that I already got rid of are The Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder, which I thought was cute. It's just a cozy mystery. I'm not even going to say the synopsis. It's just a cozy mystery, you know. Cute town, cute shop, random person dies, have to figure out how, why, what, where, you know. Typical. I gave it a 3. Perfect Little World by Kevin Wilson. I loved Kevin Wilson's what is that book called? The one about the kids that catch on fire. I loved that one, and I can't remember what it's called. It's about a group of people that end up going into this study about, like, they're all pregnant and they have their kids, and then they're raised kind of like in this system by all of the parents, and they don't know who their parents are until their 5th birthday. So it's kind of like a hypothetical situation, and what happens as like the kids get older, and how like the parents cope and the kids cope. And it was interesting, but it didn't get weird enough, I think. But I also didn't really care all that much about the characters. I didn't connect with them. So I gave it a 3 star. And I also had The Shadow of the Wind on my physical TBR, and I also gave that a 3 star. That is a historical-ish fiction about a boy whose father, I think, or someone owns a bookstore, and they ask him to go in and pick a book that he needs to protect and read it. And he picks this book called The Shadow of the Wind, and it's basically all about him trying to find out what really happened with the author and why people are burning his books, and it delves into lots of different things, but it's also like covering a coming of age story. And I did like it. I found it interesting, but I also got kind of bored at some point. Like, these are the kind of books that I find like Great Expectations. I think that's the book I'm thinking of, where like the premise is interesting and I want to know what happens, but like I'm kind of bored for a lot of it. So I gave it a 3. We'll go to some arcs I read. I read Odd Body by Rose Keating. This was my #1 book of the month. I ate this up. It is a short story collection, which sometimes for me is a no-go. Like I just don't like them. I'd prefer at least a novella length than a story. But these little bite-sized stories were so weird, and I need to get myself a physical copy of this book. I gave it 5 stars because it is just so weird, and I want to reread it. So like there's a bunch of different stories in it. You need to go pick it up and find out yourself. There's a girl who's like taking care of her father who has turned into a worm or is a worm. And I think it's, it's kind of like a comparison of, a metaphor for like taking care of maybe an elderly parent or a parent who's ill. And I love it's so weird, but I loved it. And there's another one about a girl who decides to get like all these like body modifications where like she can, like they get wings. Some people get wings and like patches of fur on them. And that one's really weird. And I liked that one a lot. And there's also this one about women, about a world where women like give birth to eggs and they hatch into like random stuff like a talking fish. And there's the first one is about people are saying it's like a metaphor for depression, where like you're followed around by these ghosts, where it's like you like to hang around with the ghosts, and it's like their presence is comforting in a way, but they're also like trying to get you to kill yourself. And I thought that one was really cool and interesting and thought-provoking. So I just love this short story series. So if you like weird, I would give it. Arc I read was Myra by Nikki Gonzalez. I really enjoyed this as well. It's weird. It's another weird one. I'm a sucker for a weird arc. Like those are the ones I get approved for, and also the ones that I enjoy the most. So it's a friendship story, and there's these 2 women, and they don't see each other for a really long time. And then she randomly gets a call from her like childhood friend, and it's like, oh, come out to this cabin with me and we'll like reconnect, blah, 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 blah. And it's like in the middle of nowhere. And she goes, and Mayra, who's I believe the friend, is there, but she also has like this boyfriend there. And of course it's like, ugh, like we're trying to reconnect here and you bring your boyfriend, but then everything gets weird, and she starts like time starts to like feel not normal, and things start happening and not happening, and she kind of is like forgetting her memories and who she is. So it's like a metaphor for friendships, and friendships that maybe are toxic and you shouldn't have. And I thought it was weird and fun, just up my alley. I gave that one 5 stars as well. Surprise, surprise. I also, let's see, I think I have, The Mean Ones I also read. And that's another arc, and that's by, Tatiana. I'm just going to put it up here because I'm not going to be able to pronounce the name correctly. And it's got culty vibes, and I don't want to tell you like anything because it's just really weird, and the cover kind of speaks for itself, how cool it is. So, yeah. So I know the main character has some friends that die at a summer camp in like this horrific way, and she's like the sole survivor, and they kind of question like what she's seen. Some people think that she didn't tell the cops everything that she could have, or that she is somehow involved in it. And then years later, she goes back to the area that it happened, and things happen. Or she goes back to a cabin, and weird things start to happen to her. So she's got a lot of PTSD. She's got a voice in her head, and there's culty vibes, and there's some gory vibes, and you should read it. It's really good. I don't know if there's any more arcs that I read. Oh, This Is My Body I read. That was also an arc, and it was fine. I think I gave it a 3-star. There were things I really liked about it. It's a possession story, but it's like, is it a possession story or is it not a possession story? But there's more going on than just a possession story. I don't know. It's sapphic. There's a woman. She's a lesbian. She has a kid. The kid starts acting weird, she doesn't know what to do about it. So she kind of like goes back to her childhood home, which was like super religious and oppressive. And she tries to find answers about what to do because she's scared and she doesn't know what to do because her daughter is acting crazy, you know, like in a way that is more than just, you know, mental health. Seems to be, you know, she split her own tongue, which seemed to, while she was floating in the air, and you know, it's like she saw that. She's like, what am I going to do? Like, this is not something that can be solved with a hospital stay. So I thought that it was interesting. It didn't completely come together for me. I think I gave it a 3.5, 3.75, somewhere around there. But I did like it. Oh my gosh, I read too many books. That's too many books. All right, what else? All Boys Aren't Blue, which is a memoir about a gender nonconforming Black boy. I think they post this have said that they prefer they them pronouns, and it's about growing up and his life through college and things, and how they struggled but also persevered through that. And I thought it was very well done. I read, so that's All Boys Are Blue. I read Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. Loved that. I think my review just says it was hot, and I loved it. And that is a basically musician romance between two musicians that are kind of rivals, and it was really good. And I gave that 5 stars. Let's see, what else? Oh, I have that book. It must have fell. Let me find it. I forgot I had one more book from my physical TBR that I forgot to talk about. So this is Sugar by Mia Ballard. I have previously read her other 2 books. This is Shy Girl and We All Rot Here Eventually. We All Rot Eventually. And I gave this one 5 stars and this one a 4. This is Sugar, and it's about basically this unhinged 35-year-old, let me adjust myself a little. It's an unhinged 35-year-old woman who discovers that her husband has been cheating on her, and what happens after that. And she also like comes in contact with some sort of a witchy woman who has some spells that could be like a solution to some of her problems. And she's also obsessed with a coworker, a man at work as well. And I gave this one 4 stars. Forgot to mention, I did actually read Every Summer After at the beginning of this month by Carly Fortune, which is the first book. And then the second book is One Golden Summer, which I already talked about. And I think I gave that one 3 stars. I did like the vibes of it, but I thought that I needed more of the relationship in the present to have it rated higher, but I did enjoy it. Also read The Other Side of Now by Paige Harbson, and this is sort of a magical realism book where a woman's best friend passes away in a car accident, and instead of going to the college she wanted to go to, she ends up going to a different college. And I think at college, her friend actually ends up passing away. That's where it happens. And then she goes to California to kind of like become an actress. And then she decides she needs a break from her life and goes over to, I believe, Ireland. And in Ireland, she like enters this alternate life where she actually went to Ireland like she wanted to for school. And her friend is actually alive. And it kind of goes from there. I really liked it. I think I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was cute and sentimental and a good time. I'm just going to go through these quick because I have way too many. And that is The Other Side of Now. I read The Seep, which is an older backlist book by Chana Porter. And that is it's like a sci-fi book where the world kind of has like been overtaken by these aliens that kind of have us all in like this collective unconscious state some of the time. You can kind of be reborn if you want. And about this trans woman and her partner, but her partner wants to be reborn and raised as a child again in this new world. And her partner doesn't want that. So she's kind of like dealing with the grief of losing her partner in a different way than, you know, you would normally deal with. I thought it was interesting. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't like a like one of my favorites of the month, but I did enjoy it. I read When the Dark Stands Still by A.B. Borinek. And that book I think I ended up giving it a 3.5, 3 3/4. I thought it was okay. It's a young adult fantasy book about a girl who ends up in this like forest. She makes a bargain. She ends up with this guy that has horns and has created this forest for like the spirits of the dead to live in, so they don't like bother the real people outside of the forest. And there's a bargain involved, and some other demony, witchy kind of things. And I thought it was interesting. I gave it, I want to say 3.5 stars. I also read Sky Daddy by Kate Folk. I read this for one of Jan's book clubs, and I ended up giving that a 3. That's about a woman who really loves planes and believes to ascend to the next level of loving planes, she needs to die in a plane crash. The ending of that one is definitely divisive. I liked it, I think, if I recall. I liked the ending. The next several and last ones are ones that I did not really like and I would not recommend or didn't like that much. I read The Inmate by Frida McFadden. I thought it was fine. It was a Frida McFadden book. It was quick. It was entertaining. And I won't be reading any more from her. I think that's my third. And I think I gave this one a 3. And all the other 2 I read, I gave a 2. So I was giving her one more shot just to see. But, I had no reason to read her again. I read With a Vengeance, the new Riley Sager. And that's his train murder mystery. I thought it was fine. I gave it a 3. Not very many thoughts on it. It's a thriller. I thought it was fine. I really like, his really successful books. I really like Home Before Dark and Lock Every Door. Well, I want to say Lock Every Door was my favorite. I like Lock Every Door. I read Mother Thing, which I really did not like. I don't remember why I didn't like it, but I just know I didn't like it. It's about a woman who lives and her husband who lives with her mother-in-law in her house, and then she passes away, and it seems that some part of her at least hasn't left and is causing troubles in their marriage and life. And I don't remember why I didn't like it, but I only gave it 2 stars. I remember almost DNFing it. I read The Games Gods Play, and it's a fantasy romance, and it's a Hades and Persephone retelling, and I thought it was fine. I think I gave it a 3 or a high 2. Rose in Chains, I already talked about in a different vlog by Julie Soto, and I thought it was not great. Taking the controversy and everything else out of it and just looking at it as like going in blind standalone, and I didn't think it held up. I thought it needed a lot more. And then I read The Exorcist by Craig DeLuey. Didn't like that one. I thought it was very similar to We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. I think I liked We Sold Our Souls more. I think I gave that a 3. This one I gave a 2, and I finished it. I had an ALC of it, so I wanted to finish and give it a review, but maybe I shouldn't have because I didn't really like it. I felt nothing for anything that was going on in that book. I don't know. It was not my thing. And then the worst book I read of the entire month was Kill Your Darlings by Peter Swanson. What was that book? It's a murder thriller in reverse. So like you find out who was murdered at the beginning and you kind of like find out throughout why. But the most exciting thing happened at the beginning and there was nothing leading up to it that was interesting. So like the farther you got in the book, the less and less interesting it became. So I didn't like it. I don't know anyone who did like it. Maybe you liked it. Let me know in the comments. But that is my last one for the month of July. I read a total of 34 books, which is crazy. I read 15 off my physical TBR. I read 4 NetGalley eARCs. I read 9 from the library. There was 7 physical books from the library and 2 audio from the library, and 3 audio just from Audible and Everand. So a good mix there. I got a lot off my physical TBR. I still have a lot on my physical TBR, as we all do. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and a comment. And I doubt you got this far, but if you did, you can put a, let's see, you could put a cherry for sugar in the comments below. Bye.